And I'm just asking you to read it now and tell me whether it assists in putting the notice that I took you to into context. As provided for in the Constitution, the chair will be independent of the union, employers and employer associations. The chair must be appointed and removed by unanimous decision of the board. The board now has 2 union and 2 industry representatives. See that?
Yes. But again, I would point out this union state of March 2009. I wasn't the State Secretary in March 2009. The 17th of March, I would suggest to you. It was the 3rd week in March I was elected. So I just find those timings, I can't reconcile those timings.
I think this document was created in October 2009, Mr Forno, if you come back to page 91.
But you're referring to this union statement of 17th of March is accurate. That's what you're asking me.
Well, what I'm asking you really is, do you recollect, have you read the Constitution of TCHO?
Yes, I've gone through it on the other occasion, yes.
You have? And you know that there needs to be 2 union and 2 industry representatives on the board, plus an independent chair.
That's correct.
Or plus a 5th director, and that would normally be the independent chair. Now, in October 2009, there was some media coverage about the fund again, the training fund. And that's at page, I took you to this before, page 94, for example.
Yes.
And on that page, it talks about a statement that had been made by you back in March of that year, and that's obviously when you just taken over from State Secretary. I'm not making any comment about that. But you said that the fund would be managed from July by a new company, TCHO, run by 5 board members, 2 from the union, 2 representing employers and an independent chair. You see that, the 4th last paragraph?
I do.
And this article is saying, but company records show there are only 3 directors, Mr Forno, Mr Olsen and Mr Niles.
Yes.
So is this what happened? Putting it in a nutshell, this article came out and people in either the New South Wales branch or the national office bustled around to try and get directors appointed who would meet those criteria.
No, that did not occur. I'm sure it didn't.
Well, isn't that exactly what occurred in this?
But it's not. I don't think it was a result of this article.
I'm sorry?
You're suggesting it was a result of this article.
Well, I'm suggesting that's the trigger, yeah. But I'm sure you were trying to do it anyway, but that's what
I was trying to do
triggered
it anyhow. I was. You're right.
Right. Okay. But then you come back to 98. Now that's the email that I took you to, and he says, I've drafted a basic notice of general meeting in the 2nd paragraph and resolution.
This is page 98?
Yeah.
From Michael Burns?
Yeah.
Yep.
And the 2nd last paragraph says the response given to the journalist last Friday was that the general meeting will occur by the end of October. The convening of the general meeting by the end of October should not be a problem. And Mr Burns has drafted a notice which, among other things, contemplates appointing Mr Baroni and Mr DePici as directors. It's on page 99.
Yes.
And then page 104. You sent a letter to Clayton Utes inviting Mr Baroni to be appointed as a director.
Yes.
And he must have declined, did he? I say that only because he never became one.
I think he said yes in the beginning, then he said no, then he said yes, then he said no. He's humming and hawing a lot, but eventually he said no.
Eventually he said no.
To my recollection.
All right. So he said no sometime after, obviously, the date of
well
his
after, yeah.
letter.